basketball. I don't even like that song too much. But it's perfect for this video because we're gonna make a basketball cake. If you watched my basketball hoop cookies, they were really cute. Really cute. Really cute. And then you know that I am actually somewhat of a non-professional basketball player. I used to play basketball every day and I would win. I beat them. You can see me on the court if you would like. They called me Butterfingers at some point because, yeah, the ball would just slip out of my hands, but that's because I have fragile fingers. I'd make that basket though. It slipped out of my fingers, but I would grab it right back. So I made a basketball hoop cake. I made a little sign that was a backboard that said happy birthday. So if you haven't done so yet, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and press on the notification bell. And let's get started. Okay, Cake Nisa, so I'm starting off with a 6-inch cake that I have already filled, stacked, and crumb coated. That crumb coat is rough, isn't it? But it doesn't matter because it's the crumb coat. So now I'm going to cover that whole cake in some buttercream frosting. And this is a pretty tall cake for me. It is 3 layers instead of the 2 for 6 inches that I usually do. So it's probably about 6 inches in height. I'm going to cover this cake in my black buttercream frosting and make sure that it's nice and smooth. I took so much time with this because I just felt like this black frosting was everything. It was gorgeous. Okay, so this is the method to making the basketball net look realistic. I used a clay extruder to extrude white fondant ropes. And then I'm going to put 2 of those ropes together and then leave like a 2 to 3 inch gap, probably 2.5 inch gap, and then add 2 more of those white fondant strips. I'm gonna tell you guys where I messed up slightly. I made my ropes too far ahead of time, so they got a little bit dried out on me. They weren't as pliable as they should have been. They did break a little bit, but I knew that I was going to be able to cover that up a little bit later on. What you're going to do is take the strings that are closest to one another in the next group over and kind of swivel them in and out. Does that make any sense? If not, thank goodness you can see what's going on because that's really hard to explain. They're neighboring ropes and then we're connecting them because we're all family. But then we're going to separate them like, look, we got to go home sometime, but then we're going to meet back. You know what I mean? We're going to meet back because we're still here for one another. And you know what's funny about this fondant? The way that it extruded, it actually rippled a little bit. And I didn't go back and fix that because I thought that it gave it a little bit of realism. I've seen ropes that actually kind of look like that. So I was like, oh, that could play into my cake. I'm going to take a small piece of white fondant and use that to connect those 2 neighbors like a link of a chain. Look at the world. I also got the opportunity to buy the Rosanna ball cake pan, and it didn't have as high of reviews as the Wilton cake pan did, and I definitely see why. Not only was it really small, it's super thin aluminum. It easily bends and dents, so that could definitely mess up your ball. Mine actually did come out kind of, one was like an oval, one was like a round, even though I tried to bend it into place. So it was probably worth it just to get the Wilton brand cake pan. Yeah, I'd send it back to Amazon, but I already threw away the box, so it's mine. This is 1/2 of my ball. I wish I had filled it up much more than 3/4 of the way because it did not turn out to be an actual ball, not like I wanted it to be. But I'm just going to work with what I have and make the best out of my situation. So I put a little bit of white buttercream in the middle to sandwich those 2 halves together, and then I covered the whole ball, or it's really more like a football shape, to be honest, but in some black frosting. And I went to cover my basketball and my fondant. It was nowhere near the right size. What is going on? I'm like, okay, we're just gonna stretch this thing. We're gonna fake it till we make it. so it stretched out, and I knew I was going to cover up the bottom a little bit. Then I was like, okay, basketballs have some texture, right? Let's crumple up some foil and make some texture. However, it started to look more like an orange, like a piece of fruit. So I did smooth that out later on. But for now, let's just try to make this thing look like a basketball to the best of our ability. See, things aren't always perfect when you make cakes. And I would much rather show you guys my imperfections and how I possibly fix them than cover them up and act like they never happened. I used my clay extruder once again, and I did some black fondant this time. And I mapped out where I wanted for my black fondant to go. I put a little bit of water there. And I wanted for the black fondant to really be pushed into the cake, but I had stretched my fondant out to capacity, and so there was nothing for me to really be able to push into. So if you guys are making a basketball, I think it would be great if you do a nice thick layer of orange fondant so that you could really rub that black fondant into the orange fondant. Okay, so for now, let's put that aside, and I am going to be stacking that ball cake onto this cake. So I'm using my bubble tea straws to act as dowels, and I cut the cardboard from around the ball and just left enough for it to sit right on top of these straws. Yeah, I was nervous. I dropped that thing like it was New Year's. We're going to decorate this cake a little bit further. I had to put the home team, the 76ers, onto the cake. And then we had to make the rim of that basketball net, because what's a basketball net without a rim? It's just some rope that's tied up together. And the rims are usually red. So that's what I did. And then lastly, I added a small piece of white fondant that connected the net to the rim. I made this topper by printing out a backboard. I went back and I actually wrote happy birthday on the backboard and printed that out and just glued it to some cardboard and made a super cute topper. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. It was definitely a roller coaster ride. Couture and a basketball cake. Bye guys. The Cake Needs to Comment of the day goes to Suthin Carolini. I hope I'm saying that right. Or Suthin says, my name is Marisha. Thank you so much, Suthin. If your name is Marisha, you've got an amazing name. That was actually like a big thing when I first started my fan page. All the Marishas friended me. It was so cool. So if your name is Marisha, that's awesome. Thank you so much for commenting. Maybe you're using like somebody else's account. That happens. I totally get it. I totally get it. Leave a comment down below to be featured in the next video. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and follow me on social media. See you guys soon. Bye, Cake Nieces.